Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Nico, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How's it going, man?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. I'm set up and recording outside here today, or, a nice location here. It's a little breezy, so that's nice. I won't be sweating my ass off like usual. Hopefully, probably the last opportunity I'm going to get to do that here as the summer comes to a close. But yeah, welcome back, everybody. This is our comic book review show where me and Chris get together each week and we talk about the comics that we've read, let you know what we thought of them, give you our ratings and reviews, show off some of the artwork, talk some comic book news sometimes and other things like that happen on the show. Also, if you check your feed, there'll have been a couple of other videos that have dropped this week. You guys got a lot of different Comic Shop Talk episodes this week. You got a recap of me and Chris's experience at going to Toronto Fan Expo this year. That's our local con. That was a lot of fun. Definitely go check out that video. We show off our hauls, things that we picked up at the show, and talk about the show itself. Also, we did drop a second part to our new comic book solicitations for the month of November 2025. On that one, we think we talk about Marvel Comics as well as Dark Horse and like some of the smaller other publishers like IDW, Boom, but there wasn't much to speak of on those. But yeah, we covered those other publishers as well on that episode, since the Marvel seems to come out so much later than the DC now. So I feel like in the future, we're just going to take that approach. You might get a couple of different videos out of us. Just because, those are timely, so it's best just to talk about them when they come out. So if they don't want to come out around the same time, then so be it. So make sure to like and subscribe as always. And today we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of August 20th, 2025. And spoiler warning, as always, if you're worried about getting spoiled, the book's here for you guys today. You can always read your books and then come back, check out the playlist. And yeah, that's about it, Chris.
All right. Well, let's get to it. A lot of comics here, and let's talk comics.
Got some comics. Cheers. Yeah, massive week of comics. I had to wait till after the con to actually get around to reading them this week. So a little later than usual putting this out. It was a huge week. But here we go. Black Cat #1. And I got three covers for this one.
Three covers. Oh.
Yeah. Ji Young Lee. Got that one #1 there. Yeah. I also got the J. Scott Campbell one. And I got the Adam Hughes ones as well for this one.
Yeah, I think I might have the 8 covers sitting at the shop waiting for me, but I'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah. But what'd you think of this one, Chris?
Let's start off. I didn't have high hopes for this comic. I saw some of the previews. Some of the art didn't really speak to me, and I guess the pattern some of these comics have been going lately, especially with all these X-Men ones, didn't give me much hope. But I was pleasantly surprised once I started reading this. The art sort of grew on me. I saw a few panels in preview that I thought were from a different comic. The ones where I think later on where she's in the tub and kind of licking her wound, let's say, and the story was decent. It's a fun story, I guess. With the lizard there, she's trying to get to her safe house, and the lizard breaks out, kind of standing in her way. I liked how this sort of kind of loosely ties in with the Spider-Man world. I think she's kind of getting the cold shoulder from Spider-Man to be ghosting him or ghosting her. And then she sort of runs into him, and he really still doesn't have much to say and kind of just swings away. And then you kind of get a little inside look at the Black Cat's life. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. I guess she's kind of talking about having to bleach her hair all the time, all the workouts she has to do. And that final panel where she sort of decides that she's gonna try and be a do-gooder, that was a nice splash page. And kind of leaves with the Sandman and Tombstone. Or is it Tombstone he's with? Yeah. Sandman and Tombstone kind of just lurking about, kind of following her and seeing which way she's going to do things. So I thought it was a decent comic. I liked it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I also thought this was good. I had faith in G. Willow Wilson, whose work I've largely enjoyed for the most part. You know, of course, she's continued to write that Poison Ivy series that's been very successful. So, not to kind of box her in as the woman writer that writes good female protagonists, but yet again, here's another good one here with Black Cat. I thought this was a lot of fun. Like you said, like she, I wasn't so sure about the art either. You know, obviously they're not going with like the cheesecakey art approach. That's fine. I mean, you got a variety of different covers for this character on this first issue. If that's what you're looking for your Black Cat as well. It's definitely more of a cartoony style, but I do like it. It grew on me, I'll say, and then it was written well and it was fun. I agree with you. I think this is a lot better, miles ahead of some of these other debuts of these miniseries we've been getting for a lot of the female characters that are just kind of selling, it seems like, based on the covers. But you got a good writer on this one, and I think it was successful. So, here's to the rest of the miniseries being keeping up this same momentum, because I think some of the events that they talked about in this, like her interaction with Spider-Man going negatively, I think was obviously detailed better in the issue of Amazing Spider-Man this week. But the fact that they at least referenced it in this, and this is kind of what's been going
at least it's all in the same world and happening at the same time. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. What'd you give this?
I'll give it an enthusiastic 3.75.
Agreed. Yep. Yeah. A 3.75 as well out of 5. But another good issue like this, I might push it to a 4 for the next one, honestly. So this is pretty solid start. All right, next up we got Detective Comics 1100, big anniversary issue here. I got this variant, which is, I guess it's the Bruno Redondo Artist Spotlight month. I think I've gotten this, and I think the Wonder Woman this week. I think those are the only ones I ordered. I didn't really order ones for titles I wasn't reading, but it's kind of like a take on the old Batman TV show. Like Damien's laughing here, and he's like, "Oh, father, this show is nuts." And of course, you got all like the old like bang zip, but all these like kind of like zonk like kind of action kind of like on the old Batman TV show, all the sound effects in the background going here. And then Batman's literally just like, enough. He just like, and you see the old Batman logo on the TV set and all that. So yeah, that was cool. I picked that up. But yeah, this is an anniversary issue. And as they do with these issues, you get a bunch of different creators and anthology style story type stuff going on here. What'd you think of this, Chris?
Yeah, I picked this one up too. I just don't have my copy yet. I got the Frank Miller cover.
Okay.
And maybe when I get that, I can show it off. But for now, for the story, this first story I think it did it right. It was a wordless story. I don't know if they have a certain term for it there or not. But and it works. And I guess there's a little kid that's searching for his pet. It's a dog or a cat or something. I forget.
Dog, yeah.
Dog. And then somehow the world intertwines with Batman. And, you find out that the kid is deaf. And, of course, Batman knows everything. So he knows some sign language, and he kind of communicates, or they sign to each other about what's going on. And then the adventure ensues. And, Batman, I guess he ends up, going through some battle to get this dog back. And, at the end, he kind of flashes a bit of a smile. So it's very heartwarming.
Yeah, and this one was written by Tom Taylor and teaming back up with Bruno Redondo once again. And of course, his collaborator on his Nightwing run for the most part. So that was really cool to see them back together on this one. And yeah, I agree. This was a solid story, and it actually, the whole idea for it being more of a silent story there made sense because of the whole angle with the deaf kid. Yeah, it's really good opening story. And then I guess we're moving on to this next one here. Flip past this. Lost and Found. Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. This wasn't Redondo. Sorry. What the fuck am I saying? Mikel Janin, who I don't know if he's worked with Tom Taylor before. What am I saying? Yeah, he's been doing Detective Comics with Tom Taylor. Sorry, I knew it was one of the artists that he works with. I'm getting attacked by a bee over here. My God. This is what you get for recording outside. Sirens happening all over the place. All right. Your Role in the Community is the second story here by Mariko Tamaki, who also used to write Detective Comics, and Ari Prianto. I don't know. I can't read the artist name there. What'd you think of this, Chris?
Is this the hospital story or no?
No, I think this one's the one where he's kind of like the philanthropist kind of angle with him as Bruce Wayne. Like,
Yeah, I don't recall this story too much, but
it was probably my least favorite story out of the bunch here, to be honest with you. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Mariko Tamaki's run on Detective either, so this one was fine. I mean, it's kind of, again, a lot of these stories, I'd say, like, theme wise, were about like kind of bringing good to Gotham, like doing kind of seeing like a snapshot of like some of the other stuff that he does, like to kind of make a difference, I'd say, in a lot of these stories. If I had to think of like a theme that was similar throughout all the stories. But yeah, I think this is the one where it's kind of talking about him as Bruce Wayne, and like he kind of approves of somebody that is now in the mix for trying to make the city better or whatever here at the end. It's anyways, but that story I didn't dig either also much. This is the hospital one here.
Yeah, I like this story a lot. This was good. You kind of have a new doctor in there complaining about how Batman is sending in so many people, and struggling to keep up. And then the twist that the story is at the end, there's an older doctor there, and she kind of just says, hey, I know this is a lot of work here, but these used to be bodies coming in before Batman showed up. And, you kind of almost start siding with that new doctor while you're reading it, going, really, Batman's not doing great things here. Look at all these people, all this extra work he's doing. Everybody's coming up with these, broken bones, concussions, and lacerations. And then, the seasoned veteran doctors, before Batman showed up, and it was all just body bags, piled on top of each other. And that's something you didn't experience, and it kind of gives you a new perspective on sort of what he brings to the city. So I thought that was a good twist on this story.
Yeah, and this is Greg Rucka who wrote this one, and he worked with an artist that's he worked with James Tynion a lot in his work. This artist, who I'm a big fan of, what's his name? I think it's Alvaro Martinez Bueno. Yeah, he's really good as well. So he kind of like did his painted style here. He's an artist that's worked with James Tynion a lot. I think he's the one that's writing that. He's drawing that Nice House on the Lake, which is now called that Nice. They changed the name for the second series that they're doing together right now, but essentially he's that artist. So really great stuff. And Greg Rucka, it's been a while since I've seen him come do something for DC, and a Batman story nonetheless. So yeah, solid story. I agree. This was another really good one. And then finally ended with this one with Bill Sienkiewicz on art. You don't normally see very often as well, with Dan Waters writing it, called The Fall. What'd you think of this?
Yeah, I might have to see some of this one too to get it back in there. I don't remember the gist of this story.
I don't think the story was that impactful, but it was really cool to see Bill Sienkiewicz on art. Again, an artist you don't really see all too often. I think that was pretty much the highlight of this. Otherwise, I couldn't tell you too much about what happened here in the story. I mean, he's falling the whole time. I guess that's why it's called The Fall, and I guess trying to save this guy before he hits the pavement. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. But I mean, your mileage may vary whether or not you like Bill Sienkiewicz. His art's kind of like abstract and scratchy at times and stuff like that. Overall, though, I thought it was a solid anniversary issue. It had some good stories in it. What would you think, Chris? What would you give this?
Yeah, as an anthology, it didn't give me, it didn't inspire a lot of hope. Like if I compare this to that Spider-Man anthology where you kind of get a good feeling why you really like this character and it sort of shines through. This one didn't really kind of hit me that way, but they were all like, like I said, there's two good stories and there's some great art, so I can't complain about it too much. But I'd give it a 3.75.
I'm gonna go 4 out of 5 on this, like you said, because I liked the art on 3 of the stories. I liked 2 of the stories that stood out. There was only one that I really didn't care for out of the bunch. So I think 3 to 4 for me through art and story. I got to give it a 4 out of 5 because I rate anthologies pretty hard normally on this show. I'm not a big fan of them, but I thought this was a solid issue for, again, it didn't necessarily feel like a big anniversary issue, let's say, but because there was no actual events of the actual ongoing story that we've been getting from Tom Taylor and Detective. But that being said, it had some really good stories in it, so I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Next up, we got Imperial #3.
As stuff's going on here, it was a good read. I'm enjoying this story. I think what are they planting seeds again for other storylines? And what did they do here? They went to what's the Nova planet? Xandar or something?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, but they go to the planet to try and get the living memory that was trapped in the planet. And then once they get that memory or the hard drive sort of going, it consumes a lot of energy. And I guess his partner is kind of just telling him, look, I'm going to be the new king of the universe, and we'll get it going to help figure things out. And it reveals a lot of the story, I guess, between the Grandmaster and is it what are those guys? The Inhuman that's I guess setting up the whole stage.
Maximus, who's what's his name's Black Bolt's evil brother, essentially, is the one. You find out they're the ones that were pulling the strings for this whole thing the whole time, and then
I guess the big reveal at the end is that Black Bolt and his brother seem to be working together. And I'm not a big Inhumans lore person, so I guess that sounds like, now that you said that was his evil brother, them working together is probably a big deal.
Well, that's why that whole thing is kind of cool, because the whole time the Grandmaster and him are like kind of discussing the plan that I guess Grandmaster set up and kind of was set in motion, that he wanted him to basically push him into doing. And then he was kind of like, I'm going to make things go my way. I'm not taking orders from you anymore. This plan's too
like the Grandmaster sort of bragging the whole time how he's the greatest strategist out there. And it seems that that Inhuman guy might have pulled one over on him.
Yeah, but then again, out of the shadows after Maximus is like, oh, is that so? Comes Black Bolt. But the fact that I think this is the outcome of what happened from this last time the Inhumans were involved in an event with Kieran Gillen during, remember like the Judgment Day stuff? I think they were shunted off to the side or something. They obviously didn't get the, I don't think were treated well during that whole outcome of whatever happened during that event, if I'm speaking correctly on it. I think they're sour about some shit that's happened to them as a people, it seems like, right? So, and like you said, I don't know too much about the Inhumans either. They normally don't interest me all too much, but the way they kind of left things here, we're just like, we've been wronged, and now it's time to pay the piper, essentially. Kind of like they're like, we're stepping in here, we're working together, and we're the ones that basically are gonna take control of this whole plan and make all these coalition of planets, all these other people fight each other and kind of take out our enemies as a result, right? So I thought that was pretty cool reveal, and then it kind of leads right up to at the end of the issue, because there's obviously one more issue to go for this miniseries. It then says like, okay, now this is going to branch off into all these one shots of like, that we're seeing solicited, like the She-Hulk and the Black Panther and these like Imperial ones that are going to, I guess, now branch off and tell these stories of these other characters. And then it's going to come back and wrap up with issue 4 after those one shots come out. So gives them a little bit of a month or so to kind of, prepare for that conclusion. So I'm not mad at that. We'll see which ones we actually read. I didn't pre-order anything, but if we read some of those digitally, I wouldn't be upset by it. This has been a solid event. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's a solid story, and you can kind of see what they're planning to do here. It sounds like they're trying to get the Inhumans sort of back in the fold, or back on the, in people in readers' space. The only thing I'm concerned about is, once this story's over, they're just going to drift back into obscurity again, which who knows? But for the here and now, I think it's great.
Yeah, well, like we've spoken about on about Hickman lately. He's just paving the way for these new series by doing this event, essentially, right? That's his kind of role there at Marvel. And I whether or not people think that's pointless because he's not going to really stick with these characters or these series when he steps away, I think regardless, this in and of itself is a solid event miniseries, like space kind of event for the summer. I think it has mystery, intrigue, action, and a lot of characters I really haven't seen in a while. Like, it's been a while since I've read any Marvel Cosmic stuff, so it's been really enjoyable. I've liked it. I think the art's been solid. Yeah, no complaints here. I liked it. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this another 3.75. These were, we're starting out with some strong comics here that I really enjoyed reading.
I'm gonna go another 4 out of 5 for me on this one as well. Just a little bit more than you gave this one, but yeah, I think overall this whole miniseries has been at least a 4 out of 5. As long as they stick the landing with his conclusion, I'm interested to see where it goes from here. Like some of these, maybe some of the series that's been out of this. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Next up, we got Marvel All on One #1. And this is The Thing versus the Marvel Universe, written by Ryan North and illustrated all by Ed McGuinness. A big giant size issue of Ed McGuinness art here, which is a treat. What do you think of this, Chris?
Yeah, this kind of billed as a all splash pages sort of story. Like I just read this one online, so maybe I've kind of missed some of the thrill of reading it, let's say, just because it's all, online's a little bit different. And if that was the case, like there was some great art in there, but if these were all supposed to be big, sort of splash pages with a story just kind of trying to tie them all together, I think I might have missed the mark on there. But there is some great art in here. There were a few nice pages. And the story, I got tired quickly of the Thing always using all his taglines so many times. He's the ever-loving blue-eyed Thing and his Aunt Petunia, and how many times is he going to say clobbering time? They should have maybe just saved that right for the end when he's clobbering people. But there was an okay story, an okay read, but it was nothing special to me.
I agree. It was nothing special. It was like a little nice one-off story with the Thing fighting what seems to be a bunch of robot versions of his friends, and other fellow heroes from the Marvel Universe as he comes back from some sort of space expedition mission. From being away for a few days, and it turns out the big reveal is he actually in the Impossible Man, which is another Fantastic Four character there, he a villain, he basically made it so he landed on a planet. He's kind of like the Mr. Mxyzptlk sort of like this character.
Yeah, was he saying that he spent all this time trying to build this world for the Thing to go into and kind of explore and live and learn. And he just goes there and bashes everything up, and he was pretty upset about it.
Well, but then he thanks him because he's like, "Yeah, this was quite the workout. Actually, you could make one of these fake planets. Like he actually strategically makes it so he falls on this fake planet that's filled with all these versions of the characters." And meanwhile, he was hoping that he wasn't just a big dumb brawler type character, and actually followed these threads of a mystery to unfold who was behind it all. But by the end of it, he just shows up and he's like, what the hell? Like, he didn't even bother trying to figure out who did this, who was behind it. Like, I made this whole storyline up for you, and meanwhile, you just punched your way through everything, and it ends with like a whole planet basically coming out of the sky, a sun or moon or whatever I think it was, that basically just the Phoenix brought it down and threw it onto the Thing at the end. So it was kind of fun, but it was definitely like one note. But the highlight has got to be the Ed McGuinness art, because you don't see him draw this many pages that often. I know we were. Last time I guess we saw him was on Zeb Wells' Spider-Man. He did a bunch of issues there. But if you're a big fan of Ed McGuinness's art, like I am, it was worth the price of admission on this one, I would say. But yeah, don't expect like a game-changing story for the Thing or anything like that. No, it's him fighting a bunch of people, essentially. Yeah, this part was fun too. And then, of course, they got to find a way to get him McGuinness to draw Spider-Man again. He shows up. You think that it's as good. It is the actual Spider-Man. It turns out he's like, I was programmed to pretend like I was on your side, but I'm not. Like, you know what I mean? And then he just starts fighting him. Yeah. But they're basically just these robots that you can punch one time and it's like they just explode, right? So it's just, yeah, it was dumb fun. What'd you give this?
I give this 3.5.
I'll go 3.75 on this week. I keep rating these just a little bit higher than you, Chris. You're hard man, please here today. Escape #1 is the new Rick Remender book that came out here this week by Daniel Acuna, with Daniel Acuna on art. Really great stuff. You definitely got to check this out, Chris, when you have a chance. Sure. So basically, this is a war story so far, which you know, we've had elements of war, I feel like, in some of Rick Remender's stuff, but I don't think I've ever read like a straight up war story. So this is a war story told through the eyes of a bunch of characters that are anthropomorphic animals. And Rick Remender, I read the little note that he wrote in the back of the book, and he said the reason behind making the characters animals in this as opposed to humans is that people have more empathy towards animals. Like, they love animals more. Like, you know how like a lot of people are animal lovers, they could give a shit about what happens to fellow human beings, but they'll care obviously if their animal dies or pet dies or whatever like that. So he kind of was like, yeah, I think he thought it was an interesting thing to do it instead was animals. And I guess he was spoken to Daniel Acuna when they came up with the idea for this comic, maybe at a convention or something he was saying, and where they kind of came up with this idea. And Daniel Acuna had mentioned that, you know, I think his father or grandfather had fought in the war, and then Rick Remender, even though he wasn't close with his dad, he had mentioned that his grandfather was in the war, and just kind of like this was like a way to channel maybe some of the things they had heard about, like, you know, war stories or their family members in war times into a comic. So like this opening, this first issue is crazy because basically everybody you get introduced to, like, you see all of them on the final panel spread here on this page. There's like 5 or 6 of them that are in this plane, basically get taken out in this first issue in like a firefight while, you know, up in the air. So, you know, they all, you know, they show how each one gets taken out, like from different planes, from different areas of the plane. From, you know, you got the one guy in the gunner at the bottom, and like how one of them got killed in the cockpit, and basically they get shot down. And the one dude, his one buddy, his best friend, he basically is bleeding out, and he pushes him out of the plane so he can parachute down and hopefully survive, even though he's bleeding out, maybe get some assistance on the ground. But he drops him into enemy territory. And then the main character that we've been kind of following in this issue, who was narrating the kind of intro to the issue, this bear character, he also falls at the end and has to escape the plane and falls into enemy territory. So all the other 3-4 guys get killed in the air. And then by the end of the issue, this guy literally falls into enemy territory, and you see him kind of like sneaking behind like some wreckage, and the other dude, the enemy's like yelling out like, oh, okay, we got to find this guy that took out our whole town here, and, you know, he'll pay for all the children that died and all this other shit. So this guy, essentially, I guess why it's called Escape, is now he has to escape this scenario that he's been left in at the end of this issue, I guess, and get out of this enemy behind enemy lines here, and actually survive this war. So it was quite an interesting start to the series. I was just like, oh yeah, this is fun. You're going to be introduced to all these characters and they all get killed. I was like, oh my God, brutal. And I can't say enough good things about Daniel Acuna's art. I just think he's an amazing artist who looks like nobody else out there. So this was a really good first issue. I dug it. I'm totally in. You know, it's just so random. You normally only get war comics from like Garth Ennis or somebody out there, like of his caliber. Like, right, there's literally no one else who really writes war comics that often because they don't sell well. So it's nice to see Rick Remender kind of doing this over at Image Comics. So I give this, honestly, the more I talk it up, the more I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it 4.25 out of 5. I thought this was a solid start to the series. Just not what I was expecting when I jumped into this one. So good stuff. I'll just jump to the last page here so you can see. And it was a little oversized too of their first issue. And yeah, he's here. He's behind enemy lines here. He's hiding behind the wreckage, and he hears them basically say, yeah, you know, we got to find this guy. And his friend is, I guess, somewhere else out there bleeding out after he pushed him out of the plane as well. So we'll see what happens next. Next up, got Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 42. Few books that I read here this week. You know what? I'm not a huge fan of the Bizarro. I think he works better in small portions, honestly. You know, and we're in the middle of a whole Bizarro world arc here in this one with Batman and Superman, and you got Bizarro Superman and Bizarro Batman, and basically this plague that's running through Bizarro world that's basically turning them all into normal people, and they look at that as a bad thing. So basically in this issue, I think they finally make some headway and figure out like what's been going on exactly. And there's this whole thing where I guess somebody tried to deploy something like a cure for the Bizarros. The way he looked at it was a cure to kind of make them sane enough to actually listen to the fact that basically in this issue, they find out this guy was observing this planet, like another alien species of the DC universe that Superman recognizes because they find his dead body. And it's this guy that basically killed himself, took himself out because he was transforming into a Bizarro by the end of this, because he basically gets injected. The thing that he unleashed on the planet unfortunately affects him as well. So he ends up killing himself because he doesn't want to turn into a Bizarro person. But the reason that he did it is because he's trying to warn them that their planet is a cube, the Bizarro world, instead of what do you call it? Yeah, exactly. And because it's Bizarro world. And apparently because of the fact that it's a cube, like at the core of the world, it'll actually collapse in on itself or something. He said like a world should not be a cube. I don't know, some sort of scientific mumbo jumbo that he says that this is the reason why this world is going to be destroyed. And of course, these guys won't listen to his reasoning because he's a normal person. The Bizarro people don't want to listen to this guy. And you know what? Even though he's like some scientist, alien scientist that's watching the world. So he tries to make them sane, to kind of reason with him and actually listen to his advice so they can get away. Anyways, that goes, tits up, and he ends up killing himself because he ends up infecting himself with his own, cure there. And it has the opposite effect on him, and it turns into Bizarro. So that's basically what the story is. That's the reason why this is happening. They find that out in this issue. And Batman and Superman are trying to save the world, but it's kind of falling in on itself by the end of this issue, and it doesn't look good for them. So I guess we'll see how they get out of this one. Not my favorite arc. Not a huge fan of Bizarro, but it was still well done. I really like the reveal of that and how that all happened towards the end, and the reasoning behind it. So I'll still give it a 3.5 despite all that out of 5. Next up, I got Absolute Flash number 6. Yeah, this is still good. I dropped it in issues. It's still going at a snail's pace, which is funny because it's a Flash book. But in this one, you kind of learn a little bit more about his rogues gallery, essentially, and the reason why they signed up to kind of be transformed into get experimented on, and basically how they got to this point. All the rogues that exist in this absolute universe. So you kind of learn about them and their reasonings and the jams that they were in their lives, and why they trusted the government to experiment on them and basically give them these powers that and now they're basically working for the government and chasing Wally, right, as we know in the main story. So this is one of those issues where they're kind of going back now and explaining how some of the characters got to this point, and how his father's involvement was with this whole government agency as well. I'll give this another 3.5 out of 5. I like the series, but it's probably, I would say, in the middle in terms of all the Absolute series right now of the ones I enjoy. Superman Unlimited number 4. I took a flyer on this one. I wasn't sure if I'm going to completely drop it, and this didn't really give me too much of a reason to stick with it. Basically, in this one, it's clear Dan Slott just having fun with this series, just doing whatever ideas come to mind. This doesn't seem like an important Superman book. In this one, basically, there's like a whole Man-Bat serum type of deal where Superman basically gets turned into like a Man-Bat character in this, and Jimmy Olsen has to try to help him, and he shows up with he's always hanging out with these Ape City people. This person Tina shows up, that's like one of these Ape City people that ends up helping him out during this storyline. But he gets alerted, with his watch. He's in Gotham City picking up Tina, and then basically he has to ask for Superman's help in Metropolis because there's this bat creature, which isn't Man-Bat, that they encounter in Gotham while they're there. So. And basically, his watch is what ends up saving him. Jimmy also finds out at the end that he basically can emit the Superman watch radar. Basically, goes off. The sound actually changed him back out of this bat, or was able to, basically take him out. Essentially, this because bats have that sonar hearing stuff, and I guess whatever was going on with they were able to change the frequency to basically cure Superman here when he turned to this bat creature. Again, I'll give it a 3.5. It wasn't bad, but I think I'm done with this book, though. It just doesn't seem. It's just another Superman book amongst many, and I've been really enjoying the main Superman ongoing series, so it doesn't seem like necessary reading for me. And then TMNT Journeys #1. This was a lot of fun. This is basically reprints of like a 2000 series, which was like volume 4 of TMNT, which came after volume 3, which Image Comics had the rights to for a couple of years. This is when Eric Larson was like the editor or the publisher. Sorry, he's the publisher at that time before Kirkman. And basically, this is Peter Laird coming back to the book and writing it. So Peter Laird, one of the co-creators of TMNT, Kevin Eastman had sold him the rights. At that time, he was the only he's the only person that owned rights to TMNT at that time, and I believe still does. And this is him coming back and writing it with Jim Lawson on art. It's great, really interesting, weird looking black and white art and weird, interesting stories, because this is like 2000 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And whenever Peter Laird's involved, he always does like some weird, like science fiction type of stories. There's bad guys that they fight that are on snowmobiles in this. You got the Krang is in this, and like his people, like they're trying to like build a base on like a planet somewhere, and just really fun stuff and really cool looking black and white Ninja Turtles art. So like this felt like a blast out of the past, which it is. These are reprints, these TMNT Journeys. I think they just renamed it Journeys for that sake. And this is a series apparently that never ended back in the day, that I think they're reprinting because they said they're going to actually put an ending to it this time around. But I think there was like 30 issues, so these are going to be coming out for a couple of years. So I might wait for the collection. I might continue just picking up the singles. All I can tell you is I had a hell of a lot of fun reading this, because it's not like the TMNT that's out now, and it's more like the old school stuff, and you can tell even by the look of it. So I give this a 4 out of 5. Really liked it, and definitely want to read more. Next up, Batman and Robin Year 1, number 10. Nothing new to add to this. I think this is still a decent series. I've definitely liked the Chris Samnee art more than I cared about the basic story. I feel like Mark Waid is definitely stretched thin with his contributions to DC at this point. Yeah, and this is just, this is a serviceable, fine Batman story, but it's nothing special. I think, especially amongst how many Batman books are out there. Again, the highlight is the art on this series. So I've dropped this now. I'll probably just pick up the collection because I do want to have it. I think Chris Samnee's a great artist. But, I mean, reading it on, like, a monthly basis like I have been hasn't really added anything to, like, there's never been any standouts. I don't feel like I've given this favorite of the week any week. So it's just another Bat book at the end of the day with really good art. That's what I'll say about it. And I'll give this a 3.5 out of 5. Again, nothing inherently wrong with it. Then you got This Ends Tonight, #2. Once again, really just like this book for the art. I picked this one up as well. This story sucks, though. I don't know what the hell is going on in this story. The Jerry Duggan, this is a 3-issue series, so one more issue to go. I ordered all 3, whatever at this point. I really love the Jay Lee art, and that's all I can say about this one. There's women. This should be way better than it is. I don't know what the hell is going on. It's like too breakneck fast, the storytelling in this series. I guess by design, but I just don't feel like I've gotten a good grip on the storyline or who these characters are. There's sisters that are also assassins, and then it's like in this one, the one's getting married and they're in Vegas, and it's like this is like their bachelorette party, and they're going crazy and they're going and doing all this crazy shit, and they're killing people at one point or getting into fights with people. There's swords. Definitely like kind of feels like Kill Bill-ish at times, I will say, if I had anything positive to say about it. But the highlight once again is the Jay Lee art and the story. Take it or leave it. Honestly, I could leave it. I don't really care about what's going on here. It's nice to flip through. So that's all I'll say about this one. But because the story, I got to give this a 3 out of 5. The art could only get me so much, so far. Honestly, the story is just not that good. So. All right, Chris, Drawing Blood #8.
Ooh, this was a crazy ride, I think. We have who's is that Kevin Eastman, the character in here? Is that what his name is, or does he kind of use a pseudonym? But anyway, whoever
Books,
the guy
books.
is,
Yeah, yeah,
Book.
yeah,
Yeah, that's his
yeah,
name.
yeah.
Book.
I don't have the art for this one actually. I just noticed. Sorry about that, but yeah.
Books is on a little suicidal adventure there, and he seems to be getting visited by all his characters that he's created. But then you got to kind of look through those characters and knowing that this is sort of an autobiographical story. Is
Yeah.
those battle cats, or I imagine they're supposed to be the turtles, and there could be other characters, you know, that I'm not super familiar with all the stuff that he's done, but this one kind of gets a little crazy, gets in your head a little bit, and he's kind of fighting either himself. I don't know what he's blasted. He's ripped on something through most of this comic, and I guess at the end he kind of comes out stronger. But it does kind of talk about maybe a lot of things that happened while he was, I guess, kind of in his prime, or when he's coming up in the world, and talks about how he sold the rights to these battle cats, and how his partner wasn't too happy with that. And so it is sort of kind of pulls back the curtain on what's been going on and kind of what can happen when you get a lot of clout too soon, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just talked about him a moment ago when I was talking about that TMNT book where he wasn't involved in. And that was just Peter Laird. And like you said, that the most interesting thing about this book has been some of the autobiographical type of stuff he's pulling from for this story, right? Like for this character. And this has been super delayed, this issue. It's been a few months since the last one. And honestly, though, you fall right back into this story and this character, and I'm super invested once again. Great issue. This even does right the things that we normally hate in other stuff when it's like, it gets in the character's head, but like it works well because he's talking to the characters, like he's so messed up, like he's talking to his own creations and he's kind of just reflecting off of them and being able to kind of work out his trauma, it seems like, with his own creations essentially, right? And yeah, he's got a lot of problems, this guy, but then at the end of the issue it looks like he almost tries to kill himself, and then this the artist that he employed, this new up and coming artist that he, I guess, works at his offices, was able to talk him off the ledge literally at the end of this issue.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, so it was, and I know it's loosely based some of this stuff on him, but like I'm starting to wonder some of this stuff, like what's true, what's not, and it makes it very interesting of a read, honestly. And even without knowing that, though, it's a solid story. It just makes it even more interesting knowing that this is obviously loosely based on Kevin Eastman's experience, right? So, good stuff. Yeah.
I give this a 4. I thought it was a good read.
Same, 4 out of 5. And yeah, so this is 2/3 of the way through the series. This is a 12-issue series. I think it was solicited as. So we got 4 more to go for that. So that's good. And then next up, we got Exquisite Corpses number 4.
Oof. Good stuff here.
Yeah.
Did we at the Fan Expo, we saw some of the creators there talking about this stuff, and the way they said, they explained how they kind of came up with a concept. Basically, it sounded like they all got together. I almost played like a game of D&D and freaking taped it, and then just kind of made a comic. It sounds like they came up with all these characters, and you don't know who's going to win or who's going to lose, and it's just almost a battle royal between them. And this one here, we have this Shadow Fox or something, and I don't know who the other one is. That girl with the crossbow. And they seem to have some history together, and they're fighting it out in a used car parking lot. I don't know how they came up with that location, but
yeah,
it's still working and it's still good, and just the way you have that those brackets at the end where you can kind of follow where all these characters are going through. It's just good stuff, And I did want to ask a question when I saw the panel there is, what would they do if, one of these characters that got killed, so, because I imagine this whole story is out before it's written. They don't know who's going to be popular. But if there was one of these popular characters that, somehow just connected with people and they didn't see it and they got killed off early, would they do anything to try and bring that character back somehow? But otherwise, yeah, this is still always a fun read. And I think I'm enjoying this a lot.
Yeah, so as am I. Adam Gorham was the one who drew this one. Michael Walsh is assisting on art on all the issues as well. Like I think he's doing some stuff, but yeah, this was a good issue. My favorite part of it, obviously, was when this one person sussed out that there was a spring loaded trap that basically took off this guy's hand that she got to open the back of the trunk up for her, because they're all trying to locate their weapons like in the wild, essentially, like that they're going to use their symbolic weapons that they're using in this competition. So the Fox Mask Killer, or whatever that character's name is, I think that's the name of of that character, but basically she's lying in wait watching while this character sussed out that like her weapon of choice is in this back of the car at the dealership. And then, but she thinks there's a trap on the car, which there is, and she gets the dealer to kind of open it up, and then like there's like some barbed wire thing that flies out and slices his hand off. So that was my favorite moment of the issue. There's always been like really every issue has been one really good unsuspecting moment, honestly, that I feel like they've brought us. So I think good on them, because I know there's different writers coming in and writing certain issues. Like this one's written by a writer that wasn't on the last issue, for instance, with a different artist. So it's all gelling well together, though. I mean, I guess James Tynan and Michael Walsh are the architects of this book, like they're overseeing everything like editorially, but it's all working really well together. So very, very interesting concept and way of that. We saw this original page for sale out there by Adam Gorham there. This was a nice one. I had my eye on this. I didn't pull the trigger, but I did like seeing this page. This is before I even read the issue, so it's a good thing I did it, because maybe then I would have. So I'm like, I quite like that moment a lot. Good stuff, though. Yeah, I'm liking this series. We'll see where it goes. What'd you give this?
I'll pop this a 4.
Same, 4 out of 5. Yeah. Next up, G.I. Joe number 10.
Got my cover here. Just get the A cover.
Yeah.
Do buy comics. Yeah, this was okay here. I'm not sure how. I forget how they ended up in the situation they're in, but basically it's Baroness and CoverGirl, and Major Blood's got them in a pit, and they're trying to fight to the death. And if they don't fight, they have the Raptor waiting out there to kill. Is the Baroness' parents, I think, or somebody's parents? One of those two girls' parents. And there's some good action there with them fighting it out. And if I'm not mistaken, they kind of almost put up a pretend fight to sort of launch their escape. And when there's also some stuff here with Clutch and the Autobot, they get into a bit of trouble there, and you think, oh, they're troubled, and that Autobot sort of reveals himself, and I think that's a big deal in this series, because right now everybody's against these robots because they don't know kind of who they are or what they're about. So it's a lot of good beats in the story here. The stuff about the Energon, I think they're looking. That's why Clutch and the Autobot went back, I guess, to the battle to try and track down some of these Energon weapons to figure things out. So it's no complaints about this either. This was a good one.
Yeah, no, I got literally nothing to add to that. That was good. You run down there. It's another enjoyable issue. Really nothing to add to what you said though. But Energon books have been good. They've been solid all around. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I got to give this another 4 again. It's good.
I'll go 3.75 on this. I did enjoy it though, but I wouldn't give it a 4 out of 5. This one in particular. Hyde Street number 8.
Frankie, what are you up to, and who are you bringing there? Where's Mr. X bringing you to? This, I guess Frankie's still trying to get that mask off his face, and Mr. X-Ray, I don't know what his name is. I guess what he thought isn't happening, and supposedly that mask is now bonding to his face.
Yeah,
and they bring him to this doctor. I guess it's funny that they call this doctor the Butcher. It's whenever you're a bad doctor, that seems to be the term they give you. And it's true to form too. This doctor guy, he's wacky as well. And he almost it looks like he has like some tricks up his sleeve, or wants to do things. It seems to be in order to take the mask off his face. He's got to take Mr. X-Ray's glasses off and put them on Pranky, and then that freaking opens up a whole new freaking world for Pranky there. It seems to reveal his past. And then there's some nods to like some of the previous characters. I think that diet lady there, she's got something going on, isn't she? Kind of going to some guy to, I don't know, bring some crazy person back into this world. There's a lot going on here, and
Well, Pranky made it so he shut. If you remember, he shut down her store, and like she's afraid to go outside. She's like agoraphobic or whatever you call it. Like
yeah.
that's like she can't leave the store right now. So like, but she sees Pranky and this guy walking down the street, and she looks pissed off. So I feel like she's kind of operating in the back. Yeah, she's operating in the background of whatever is going to happen, I guess, next right now. But she wants to take out revenge on Pranky there for what he did because he screwed around with her. And then, yeah, and then the X-ray, Mr. X-ray glasses there, he kind of, he even kind of like was like, I'll only help you if you lay off me as well, because he was stealing his kills, right? Essentially, yeah. Like, so this guy's in a whole lot of people's business. This kid, right? He's definitely the most interesting.
Also that nod to the piranha tank. You know, the basically the sea monkeys, but they're piranhas, and you know, you've been seeing those sort of in the last pages when they sort of have an homage to the old comic books where they used to sell like X-ray glasses and sea monkeys and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's creative stuff, and I'm happy that these aren't just sort of one-off issues that are just tied together because they're all Hyde Street now. All these characters seem to be starting to interact a little bit more, and it just makes it more interesting. It's good stuff.
No, it's been a fun series. I know we've always sang its praises, and I'm really surprised this is Jeff John writing this story. I didn't know Jeff John had something like this in him. I don't feel like I ever seen this side of Jeff John's, but then again, it's because he was writing like DC superhero stuff for the most part for years, right? So this is really solid. I like this series a lot. Yeah, it's definitely got legs. And then, yeah, you see this woman show up to that other Frankenstein character that we've already been introduced to in previous issues as well. So they're all coming together here. Everything seems to be gelling. What'd you give this?
Yeah, this is an easy 4 all day. Could even be more.
4 out of 5. Yep. And next up, we got Invincible Universe Battle Beast #4.
Yeah, I've stopped buying this, but I'm still reading this. This is a fun book. I don't know, for whatever reasons, it's just not connecting to me, but I'm gonna still continue reading this. It's like now that there's been a few more issues, it seems to be they might be traveling to different worlds, and each time they go to these different worlds, it might have more of a different type of theme. This had a bit of a fantasy theme to it. I think it starts out with those monsters that you thought were going to be attacking the battle beast. He's going to have to battle them all out, and somehow they have a big affinity for him. They kind of, I guess, they can realize his superiority, and then he ends up using them as rides to explore the city. And then if you have some of these aliens there. And another swerve, it's kind of the trope there. Oh, the alien that's caught in a trap, please help me. Of course, Battle Beast's like, screw them, don't worry. I got more important business to take care of. And I guess the prince of this world, he's like, oh, I gotta help these people. I gotta help this lady in distress. And of course, she turns out to be some sort of crazy witch. I still don't know how she subdues Battle Beast to get him in the kind of the state he is, because he seems to be trapped there at one point, and she plans on eating both of them.
Yeah.
And then they realize, of course, that these two, the prince and this lady, used to be friends.
Yeah.
And now they're all on the same team exploring the world. And, you get some crazy castle that they're going to. And, even the Battle Beast seems to take a shine to this, I don't know, wizard or whatever she is. And, because, she's trying to tell him, oh, what did the Colossus or whatever the first sibling that he ate, he just wants to know what he tastes like.
He's like,
he kind of does, the first time he's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. And then sort of as they continue their adventures, he's like, oh, it was salty. And she was just so happy to hear about that.
Yeah.
And then you get a taste of who his new challenge may be. It's somebody, I guess he's eaten all the residents of this world, and he's sort of going a taste for them. And now the survivors have to give themselves up as a tribute or a sacrifice for him. Still good stuff. It's a fun read and great art. It's a little bit messy, a little bit violent, it does hit all the right notes.
Yeah, you said it. Yeah, that's a great way to describe Ryan Otley's art. It's just a super fun book, and I don't ever know where it's gonna go. And yeah, you're right. Like it's a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of fantasy. It's an adventure book. He's making friends somehow along the way, despite not wanting them. Yeah, it's good. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and thank God for that. I think it's a great fun adventure that we're having with these characters. I really enjoy this one. I think it's it also has a different feel than what Invincible was, honestly, because this character was a lot more intense and serious in that book, and yet he still is here, but because of the characters, the other players that are involved in the story, it kind of lightens the mood in that fact that he has to interact with these people, right, and play off of them. So like it actually is a good balance, I would say. If it was all like him, like just like by himself going on this journey, I don't know if it would be as interesting. So Kirkman has a really good knack for writing these other characters, these supporting characters in his books. So yeah, great stuff. What'd you give this?
I think I'm about to give this a 4 though too. It was good.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I don't know, am I gonna give this another 4? But I am. It's a lot of fun. 4 out of 5. Then we got the Seasons number 7.
This is, I don't know what the heck is going on in this story, but it's just like frenetic action here. This one seemed to be more of an action-packed issue. They seem to escape the tent, and now the tent is out after out, kind of coming out of the tent, chasing them down and sort of consuming the city. And now we see, was it a Spring Season? Is that the youngest character? I guess.
Yeah.
She's kind of floating around with her older sister that rescued her, and as they're trying to escape, they kind of run past some of these settings that we're familiar with, like the bakery, and then I guess her mentors being kind of snatched up by the carnival, and then and her sister's telling her, no, we can't, we gotta escape ourselves, we can't stop to help people. And then Spring Season, no, I can't do that. She jumps off the bike, and she almost gets snatched up herself. Then her sister, she has a change of heart, she turns around and she cuts one of those arms, and then the craziest thing out of that is those freaking clown car comes out of there and still continues to chase them. I don't know what's going on in there. They somehow, she has that rocket pack there. She saves herself, grabs her sister. They try and fly to their house. You think they'd be safe there. These clowns freaking keep on coming. And I don't know, I guess the older sister kind of sacrifices herself to try and get Spring Season into one of the rooms where all these relics are. And I think the next issue, who knows? I don't know what those, she has some sort of barbarian type costume on there, and I don't know if that's sort of magic or something, but it looks like she's going to be kicking some ass with those clowns. Might be in trouble next issue.
Yeah, all this clown stuff got really wacky, this story now, with everything going on. And talk about a fantasy story. This is definitely got some weird, crazy stuff happening in it. And yeah, we touched base with the other sister who's like who couldn't get out of this trance of looking at herself in the mirror.
Summer, yeah, she's stuck in the mirror there.
I got to say though, this story, for having such a slow start to it, has really been moving at a good pace the last few issues. I think it keeps delivering in terms of like, changing the direction of these characters, and like the as the story unfolds and we learn more about the antagonists of the story, the clowns or whatever the hell's going on with these guys. It's kept me interested. So it's been good. Yeah, and here she is with her get up at the end there, like she's about to sing in the opera or something here. Good stuff. What'd you give this?
Let's give it 3.75 though, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Yeah, I wasn't gonna give this one a 4, but it's a fun series. Yeah, 3.75 out of 5. And that's going to do it for our image block here. Geez, look at all those great image books that came out this week. Some good stuff. Absolute Batman 11, Chris.
Oof.
Yeah, I got the Chris Burnham. Chris Burnham.
I got the tasty books. I just got the 8 cover here.
Yeah.
I don't know what you can say about this one. This one had me hook, line, and sinker. And I'm still not sure about the ending, if that was the ending or how it ended, but anyways, we start out Batman. Didn't he escape as Bane and I don't know how long this is taken since then, but sort of supposedly Bane's back on the hunt. It's sort of narrated, I guess, by Alfred, and he kind of goes over some of the history of Bane, and it sounds like Bane was on the hunt for Batman again, but this time Batman's ready for him. A freaking crazy ass fight goes through, and Batman loses an arm. He friggin' Bane's crushing that axe he's got on his chest. And, you know, from the last issue, you know, we saw Batman or whatever, Bruce get freaking beaten down so many times. You thought he's ready to fight back again this time. And it seemed like he had a plan, and Bane somehow freaking overcomes it, cuts off one arm, cuts off the other arm. And then you see him freaking in, I don't know, in the Bane hospital there being pumped full of the venom. And then they shoot up whatever the Gotham or a Batman the Gotham needs or something, you know, as Bane tries to kind of persuade Batman to join his side. And there's a couple touches there of all these other people that Bane might have given the venom to. You know, I think they mentioned Deathstroke and a few other characters, so I thought that was interesting. But then at the end, I'm still not sure. That's why I'm going to ask you here. Did all this stuff happen?
Oh, so
or did like, because at the end he goes, that's what would have happened if you break. But then you see, you know, and the only way Bane's going to break you, or if you choose to break, is because of your friends. And now you see Bane sort of bearing down on his friends, where in the beginning you thought he was bearing down on Bruce himself.
So to answer your question, I am not sure. I almost thought for a second they were like, I'm like, what is this? Like him imagining this? Is this a dream sequence? I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Because there is a brutal part where he takes his chest plate and slams it into his face, and his eyeball is flying out underneath it, and he's like dead. Like, and then like he's like, oh yeah, I put him back together though. So I don't know. It could be real what happened at the end there, because like at the end there, he's standing there like a Bane Batman essentially.
Yeah.
And we already know that. We already found out the last issue that he's got all this tech and stuff inside of his actual chest, which I still don't understand what the fuck. Like, is this Batman more robot than man at this point? A machine? I don't know.
And with Scott Snyder, you never know what he's going to be up to too. So this could be
right.
This could be real. Like this is something he would do, but I don't know if DC let him do it.
All I gotta say is this book is fucking batshit crazy. I love it. And this scene was insane. I had to read it back like a couple of times. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, is that Batman? And yeah, it's Batman. Like you said, maybe it's not real, but the fact that they depicted it and it kept us guessing and it makes us sit here and have to talk about it, I'm not mad at it. Like, it's a pretty,
I'm not mad at it at all.
It's a pretty.
Well, now that we talk about it, that could be not even Bane that's tracking down his friends. That could be the freaking Bane Batman tracking down his friends.
It very much could be. I think this did happen though. I wouldn't put it past them, because like I thought he was dead there, but again, we just seen all that crazy shit last issue. Like he like at this point, like I think we got to separate ourselves from thinking this is supposed to be grounded whatsoever. Like I don't think it is. This is just like him putting his craziest ideas into this. It seems like at this point.
So.
Well, I mean, like we've seen a lot of crazy stuff in this series already, right?
Yeah.
Like this. And this is no exception. This issue, another great friggin' issue of this series, man. This second arc or whatever, like wherever we're at now, second arc has been amazing.
This arc means business here. That first one had a bit of filler in there.
But this second arc is not playing it. The first one I think started out well and ended well, but in the middle it lost us. But this second arc, they're not taking their foot off the gas of what's been going on.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even Dragoda drawing it. Who is this?
No, Clay Mann.
Clay Mann. Sorry, man.
Who's a great artist too.
Yeah, when they're bringing somebody else in here, like they're bringing in freaking winners. Like in that first arc, you know, whenever Dragoda took a break, you know, it's like, oh, what the heck is this? A freaking. He's building his wings on his suit. Get out of here. This is freaking Money in the Bank right now.
Yeah, I didn't know that Clay Mann was going to come on and draw an issue. So that's great. Yeah, good stuff. What'd you give this?
Yeah. I was going to give this like a 4.25, but after talking, I got to pump this up to a 4.5.
You read my friggin' mind. I was literally going to give it the same rating, 4.25. But yeah, it's a sick issue, and this has just been a good arc. So like, yeah, I got to give it 4.5 as well. So, yeah, and the art was good. You made a good point. Yeah, 4.5 out of 5 this week. Agreed. And then we got Wonder Woman 24. Mouse Man knows.
Mouse Man knows.
I got the Bruno Redondo variant here for this one. So
Yeah, that's got the cover there. It was fun the last issue, and Mouse Man knows, and whatever else they say. Freaking enough of it already. Okay, well, at least they did kind of move away from that. You know, got some of his higher up henchmen that really do speak the language. But it's still a fun story, you know, regardless of what I just said there. But I was getting a little tired of maybe that's what they're trying to do, is get that frustration when Wonder Woman's trying to talk to this stupid kid, and the kid always just say, "Oh, mice have ears, Mouse Man knows." Like, Jesus Christ, tell me what's going on here in this world.
yeah.
So maybe that's what their plan was. And if that is their plan, then it's freaking worked on me, because I'm getting frustrated with all this stuff. But I'm glad that the story is moving on here, and I want to see Wonder Woman kick the freaking shit out of these mice or the Mouse Man or whatever the heck is going on here, because I still have no idea. I don't even know where she is in this, like, in the world here. Like, did she get freaking shrunk down, and that's why the mice are so big, and these people are living in like a shoebox? I don't know, but the art is still great. Story still got me hooked. And it frustrates me in a good way.
Yeah, once again, I don't really have too much to add to that. I think you hit on everything I was going to comment on, and I wouldn't say it's frustrating me, but it definitely. I don't even want to say it's lost its luster, but yeah, I think like by a second issue, we were really impressed with, despite it being all that repetitive shit that last issue, how great of an introduction it was to this whole storyline, and then. You know, it definitely took it down a little bit of a notch with this one, because it was more of that. But that being said, the story is still moving along despite all the dialogue being similar in that sense. It's still pretty good, and I need to know what the hell is going on here. But by the end of it, though, the Mouse Man, I guess, is the character. The guy's like, yeah, you know, this happened, but we can't talk about it. You told us never to mention this person's name. And he's like, Wonder Woman. Like, he's just like, you know, ready. He's just like, she's here. Like, you know, so there's going to be a major showdown of sorts. I'm thinking the next couple of issues. So good stuff.
But it just seems like once Wonder Woman's going to meet up with this Mouse Man, I know how very powerful it could be. She's going to freaking kick his ass quick.
She whooped all these other guys' ass when she came into their compound in this issue. Even Tom King, though, had to ease up a bit at the end here, because we would never figure out what they were talking about. Like, you saw like some of the characters were slowly starting to give you like a sentence, but around the sentences, it was like Mouse Man knows, then he would say something normal, and then it would be like whatever. So it looks like the people like within his inner circle are allowed to
have to say a little bit more.
A little bit more. Yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. It's still good art. I agree. What'd you give this?
I'm giving it a 3.75. Stupid fucking Mouse Man. He doesn't know how to put it over 4.
Yeah, a 3.75 for me as well. And then got Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe #2.
This is a fun read here. I think they have a fun tone to it. It's not too serious, but there's a lot of stuff going on in here. You're getting all the characters you love are involved. And I can't say much else. You know, they're worried about this thing getting venomized, and who's he fighting here in the first thing where he steps on that bar with no name, and they're freaking all the villains just happen to be in there the whole time, and they start getting together, and it's like, oh, the villains have never been this organized since their kickball game or something.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're all out there fighting. You know, it's taking a lot of fun beats here and putting it out there.
Yeah, this is truly the Jerry Duggan who wrote Giant Cockshoe in action here. You know what I gotta say? I didn't love the first issue. I even said so on here. I thought it was fine. This was a lot better. So yeah, I did truly have fun with this one as well. And that bar with no name villain scene, I agreed. It was for me, it was the highlight of the issue, but still some fun stuff. He's having fun. He's playing in the playground of the Marvel Universe with Godzilla, and I think he's doing it well. Some of these books, the novelty wears off fast, but some of them, you know, if you have a story worth telling, and they just take it just serious enough, but still keep it like fun and silly, like this has been, then I think they're more successful than not lately. I mean, you know, I don't think we've enjoyed every like those Predator entries, but like for instance, but it doesn't always work. I liked all the Godzilla one shots though that came before this, highlighting different aspects of the Marvel universe, and this has been fun. With the second issue, I'm starting to get into this as well. So yeah, I think overall this is gonna be like a 5-issue miniseries. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. What'd you
Yeah,
get?
Doctor Strange involved there too. Doesn't he freaking send him to like some freaking
Different dimension.
or something?
Yeah, and then Fin Fang Foom shows up. So yeah, there's fun stuff in
Yeah,
this.
good stuff.
What'd you give
I'll give
this?
it 3.75, but the
Same.
more I talk about it, it sounds better and better.
3.75 out of 5 for me too. New Avengers number 3.
This is another book here. I think the writer is, I don't know if he's taking some liberties with these characters, but some of them just don't seem to be the right way. I guess the way they're sort of perceived in the universe, but I think they're written well for this story here. You know, like having the Hulk there, the Hulk with the Avengers is always a good time. You know, they freaking sort of zap him. They go into his Hulk brain, and you know, Bruce there tries to give him some tips. You know, if this was sort of a bigger event, you know, I don't think Hulk would ever, whatever that neuro inhibitor would do anything to the Hulk. But you know, it works for the story. The way they have X-23 here, I guess they kind of explain why she's trying to be a smartass all the time. She's not too happy with things that are going on. But the way the story's going and the tone of it, I don't mind it at all. It's a fun read. And, you know, and these characters that they do have, like that one scene, it just kind of hit me out of the blue where, was it X-23 that has to kill the funky Professor X? And she just sort of does it without, you know, without remorse. And, you know, isn't it Bucky that say, hey, do you want to talk about this? And then she kind of comes back with some crazy smile. It almost leads you to think that, you know, she's under some sort of influence, but I hope not.
Yeah, I got that too. That was a really weird looking smile that the artist depicted of her in that scene. And they've been basically like trying to track down these like, you know, these weird cloned versions,
whatever they call them.
Of the you know, characters, you know, obviously people that they know in the Marvel universe. So they tried, you know, Clea was trying to take out this other Doctor Strange as well. So that storyline happened in this. So I think the best part about this book is the cast of characters. I think it's a lot of interesting characters you don't see kind of teaming up together usually that are in this. I honestly like every single one of the characters that's in this book. And I like that you picked up on that, because I was about to say the same thing. This kind of does feel like an Elseworlds of sorts in a way, because of the way that that Sam Humphries is writing the characters. Maybe doesn't necessarily have the perfect voice for all of them, but I actually think it works in this type of book, the type of story that they're telling. It actually makes things very interesting. I don't need this to read like the main Avengers book, you know what I mean? Like, so this is great. I'm really enjoying this. I surprisingly so. I dig this. This definitely has like almost like a Thunderbolts feel to it, even though they're not villains, but like it's the same type of vibe, I would say. And then obviously Bucky just came from the Thunderbolts book as well. And you know, this is I like that this is basically almost like a Kill Squad team. Like all these characters there, you know, they have killed or beaten the shit out of people to pretty much, you know, you got Carnage, you got Black Widow. Yeah, they've all pretty much killed. Like I'm sure Namor has. Like and there's that smile on her face there, that devilish grin that she had. So yeah, this is a good issue. I'm liking the series a lot. What'd you give this?
I don't know if you're gonna like me for this, but I'll give it a very positive 3.5.
No, that's fine.
Not bad 3.5.
Yeah,
you know?
I would only still give it a 3.75 out of 5 myself. I just think that it's you know, I have a lot of enthusiasm for it, because I would feel like this would be a book I don't think people would check out, and it's hidden above its weight class in my opinion. Like it is better than all the pieces involved. Technically, I think it's better than what I expected. So I'm very enthusiastic about it in that sense. I'm enjoying it. An Amazing Spider-Man number 10, our last book here today. I got the J. Scott Campbell variant for that one as well.
Yeah, hopefully I got that sitting at my store, some cover at least. But if not, I'll see what I can do. But once again, you know, the Spider-Man is sort of turning the page here a bit. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Peter Parker's the guy that's doing this. You know, you see Peter Parker at work. You know, he's yucking it up. He's kicking ass there. And then the Spider-Man that's out on the streets, you know, I think we saw in some of the Zeb Wells run, you know, where there was like a brutal Peter Parker or a brutal Spider-Man out there, but he was really over the top. this guy still seems to kind of hold things back, but he's fighting with less reservations. And when he tries to send a message to Tombstone, where is it Shocker that it's got all wrapped up, and he freaking just wraps him up and throws him through Shocker's or through Tombstone's window, and even Tombstone sort of realizes, oh, there's a new Spider-Man in town, or there's a new era for Spider-Man. I thought that was all good stuff. And then the big thing at the end there is you see Peter Parker meeting up Spider-Man, and they're both kind of complaining to each other. Goes, I don't think you're the best Spider-Man or something, and you're not Peter Parker either. I don't know. I don't know. People may not enjoy this because of Clone Wars. I've never read the Clone Wars, so I'm down for this. And if I compare this to the last few runs that I've had, what did we have before? The Nick Spencer where Spider-Man got sick. That was a bit trash. I enjoyed the beginning of the new Spider-Man run, but then the Gang War, that was sort of trash.
Zeb Wells run, yeah.
Yeah, there's Zeb Wells. There's some good beats in there, but nothing decent. And I'm sort of enjoying this story here. I didn't enjoy the way this series started, but I'd rather have one kind of start weak and get strong rather than start strong, pretty much like the Zeb Wells was, and then freaking get weak.
Yeah, it's keeping me guessing. I enjoyed this as well. I think Michael Dowling was a nice addition to the art without Pepe Larraz there, of course, who I'd, much prefer. But, his stuff is kind of like messy as well and interesting looking. I feel like he's definitely added an interesting looking flair to the art styles of Spider-Man on this series, and one that's unexpected. And I'd much prefer to, like, I think they've actually been even using John Romita Jr. to his best abilities and got him on the right issues so far of this run, I will say, right? So yeah, we'll see if they can keep that up. I don't mind having 2-3 different artists in rotation if you're picking the right stories for these guys, right? So yeah, but this is interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes, and like always, it doesn't take long for the wheels to come off for Peter Parker and his life, right? It started off like, hey, this is great. I'm enjoying myself, and life's great. Like, look at me, I'm casually dating and all this other shit. Now it's like you're not Peter Parker and I'm not Spider-Man, and what the hell is going on here? Yeah. So and he's a dick. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I guess we'll find out soon. But good issue. I liked it. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75. It's still got to do something to get me over the edge.
Yeah. This particular issue, I'd give 3.75 out of 5 as well. So there you go. All right, that's going to do it for this week of comics. A huge week of comics. Chris, what are you looking forward to reading next week?
All right, let's see what we got cooking here. Oof. I think there's Ultimate Spider-Man 22. Is that coming out next week?
20, I think.
20 or 20? Sorry.
Yeah.
Shit, hold on a minute. Okay. Yeah, so for the week of August 27, I guess that's tomorrow. Yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man 20. I don't know if I'll see this X-Men 21. I think I've had enough. Or no. West Coast Avengers 10. I don't think that series is long to last.
That might be the last issue, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we saw it in the recent solicits, so I think there's your answer. I don't think we saw it in the solicits.
Well, maybe they'll end this. Or, yeah. They'll end that story with what's his name, Ultron, which hasn't been too bad.
No, it's been good.
Let's see, Emma Frost. Maybe I'll probably read this Planet War She-Hulk. I didn't pick it up. Let's see what's going on in Thor 1, but well, man, they've dropped the ball with Thor lately. Ooh, and we got Absolute Wonder Woman 11, Superman 29. Ooh, that's it. Oh, I saw the Peacemaker, the first episode.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet. Good? Yeah. I've heard good things.
Let's see, what do we got in Image? Where is Image? Well, I'm not sure what's coming in Image, but anything that's coming up from that Energon universe, I'm not sure if there's Transformers or something coming up, but
Yeah,
Let's see what's going on with this.
I got it here. Geiger.
Oh yeah, Geiger for sure.
We're taking down everyone with us. Void Rivals. These are all things I'm reading. Universal Monsters, Invisible Man. James Tynan. Kea. That's for Image. Dark Horse. It's a good week too. They got two double helping of Mark Millar. You got Huck Big Bad World #4. And also the first issue of Nemesis Forever comes out next week.
Should be doing that too, hopefully.
Minor Arcana from Jeff Lemire and Boom. And then I also got Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rites of Spring or whatever, #2 comes out. So I'll have to catch up and read the first issue that I missed out on.
The one?
Yeah, you read the first issue.
Yeah.
That comes out. Number two comes out. Then you got DC. We got Absolute Wonder Woman 11. I got Robin and Batman, Jason Todd, Superman. Oh, last issue of Robin, Batman, Jason Todd this week comes out from DC. So that's that. And then Marvel, there's something called Doomed 2099 coming out. Is that a 2099 Doom story? If it is, I might check it out. Emma Frost, White Queen. Yeah, and Imperial She-Hulk, tie-in, Runaways 3, Ultimate Spider-Man 20, West Coast Avengers 10. And yeah, I don't think I'm reading Thor or X-Men, but we'll see. But yeah, another decent sized week next week. So yeah, that's August 27th, the last week of August for their next week of comics. So yeah, make sure to check it out. All right, Chris, your favorite book of the week.
Let's see. There's a lot of contenders. I did enjoy Black Cat. I did enjoy Wonder Woman, G.I. Joe, but I'm giving this to, unless they freaking walk back this story that he was just freaking sleeping and Alfred's just saying what could have happened. But if any part of this is fucking true, what's happening in here, if he's got no arms, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
When you're right, Chris. I also have to give it to Absolute Batman this week. Yeah, I will say there was a lot of contenders, though. I mean, Escape, #1 by Rick Remender, probably the closest. But that being said, that whole slew of Image books we talked about on this episode that we both read,
Okay.
a lot of really good issues this week, honestly. A lot of solid contenders for favorite of the week. But yeah, Absolute Batman. Just the sheer craziness of the story and even the guest artist on this issue. I gotta give it to that as well. I agree with Chris on this one. Yeah. So it's just, that was one of those books after I put it down after reading it, I was like, what the hell happened there? I was like, what is going on in this story? Yeah. So I knew that was going to be one of the contenders this week after I read it. And I only read it like halfway through my huge stack this week. So yeah, there you go. Absolute Batman 11. And yeah, that's definitely, I think that might even be back-to-back favorites of the week for that title for us. I think we might have both picked it for #10 as well, if I'm because at least I did. That was the one where he had all that weaponry inside of him that they found out.
I must have picked that because that's where he's riding the crocodile, right? I wasn't.
Okay. Then I did. It's
back-to-back.
It's back-to-back picks for me then, because yeah, Dragata drew that one. And just that scene alone, when you find out he's got all that crap in him, that's what I'm just like, oh yeah, this is my favorite of the week here. So, all right, so that's gonna do it for this week, everybody. Make sure to tune in next week, as always. Like and subscribe, and check out our playlist. Like I mentioned, some other episodes came out this past week. New comic book solicitations video from us, as well as me and Chris's Toronto Fan Expo recap episode, which is a lot of fun. You might notice it in the playlist. There's a picture of me and Chris there that we took on the con floor. Go check it out now, because Chris might be like, hey, get rid of this photo.
Put them all.
Yeah, but
that picture with you should have put up your picture with the Simpsons one.
Oh yeah,
in the tree. I got that one with the King of the Hill there standing with the crew.
That was
looked good there. When it's straight on you, looks like you're part of the comic. It's nice.
Yeah, no, that was fun. Yeah, we did definitely take some nice photos, fun photos there on the con floor. They have a lot of opportunities for that stuff set up at booths, right? So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Definitely check that show out. A lot of con talk, and if you haven't been to a con, a lot of good tidbits there if you're interested in ever checking one out. Also, we get to show off like some cool comics. Like there's cool comics that we showed up that we picked up and art on that episode. So definitely go check that out. That was a lot of fun. So it's kind of like a mini haul as well in that sense. So haul video, I guess. Those are a thing still, right? I don't know. So, all right, guys, we're going to see you guys next time. Thank you as always. Thank you to Chris. And yeah, later.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.